Under the blazing studio lights of Jonathan Ross's late-night set, what was meant to be a lively, tongue-in-cheek interview spiraled into one of the most unforgettable TV moments of the decade. Donald Trump, already known for his combative nature and quick temper, sat across from Ross with his usual air of confidence, expecting the typical blend of charm and soft banter. Instead, Ross, never one to shy away from sharp humor, pressed harder, asking pointed questions about Trump's wealth, controversies, and the public image he so fiercely guarded. The audience laughed nervously as the tension built, the jokes landing closer to insults and Trump's replies growing shorter, sharper, and colder. When Ross delivered one quip too many, Trump's face hardened, his patience snapped, and he abruptly rose from his chair, declaring he wouldn't be made a spectacle of. Gasps and scattered applause rippled through the audience as he stormed off stage, leaving Ross momentarily stunned but quick to recover with a sly grin and a perfectly timed punchline. The cameras captured every second, and within hours, the clip was everywhere, igniting a media firestorm that blurred the line between late-night comedy and political theater. Backstage, chaos unfolded the moment Trump disappeared behind the curtain. His aides rushed to him, speaking in hushed, frantic tones, while producers scrambled, unsure whether to cut to commercial or ride out the drama live. Jonathan Ross, meanwhile, leaned back in his chair on stage, milking the tension with a smirk that told the audience he knew exactly what had just happened: television history. The crowd buzzed with a mix of disbelief and exhilaration, their whispers filling the studio like a low hum of electricity. Within minutes, social media lit up, clips of Trump's storm-off uploaded in real time, hashtags trending worldwide, and debates raging over whether Ross had crossed a line or whether Trump had simply proven, once again, that his temper was as famous as his fortune. What had begun as a cheeky interview instantly became headline news, setting off a chain reaction that neither Trump nor Ross could have predicted by the following morning. The fallout was everywhere, front-page headlines screamed about Trump's storm off, while morning shows replayed the fiery exchange on loop, dissecting every glare, every interruption, every cutting remark. Political analysts jumped in, framing the clash as a microcosm of Trump's personality, a man who thrived on control but bristled the moment someone else commanded the spotlight. Meanwhile, Jonathan Ross was painted by some as a national hero for standing his ground with sharp wit, while others accused him of goading Trump too far for the sake of ratings. Online, the divide was even sharper. Twitter threads raged with Trump loyalists blasting the host as disrespectful, while critics reveled in the spectacle, calling it a rare unfiltered glimpse of Trump undone. Memes spread like wildfire, late-night comedians sharpened their monologues, and by midday, the incident had transcended mere television. It had become cultural theater, a moment of raw confrontation that everyone seemed to have an opinion about. Trump, never one to let criticism linger unanswered, fired back with his trademark fury. By noon, his social media accounts were ablaze with posts denouncing Jonathan Ross as a second-rate comedian desperate for attention, and accusing the show of orchestrating a hit job against him. He painted himself as the victim of media bias, claiming the entire exchange was a setup designed to humiliate him in front of a global audience. His words, sharp and defiant, only fueled the frenzy further. Supporters rallied to his defense, echoing his claims of unfair treatment, while detractors doubled down, mocking his inability to withstand tough questions without storming off. The press devoured every statement, every tweet, turning his responses into fresh headlines, and soon the confrontation was no longer just about an awkward interview, it became a symbol of Trump's ongoing battle with the media. In true Trump fashion, he reframed the narrative to place himself center stage, transforming what many saw as a public embarrassment into yet another fight he was determined to win. Jonathan Ross, ever the showman, didn't shy away from the firestorm, he leaned into it. The very next evening on his program, he addressed the incident head-on with a glint of mischief in his eye, replaying clips of the storm-off to raucous audience laughter before delivering a few razor-sharp one-liners at Trump's expense. But then, Ross shifted gears, clarifying that while humor was his weapon of choice, the heated exchange had exposed something deeper: Trump's refusal to engage in dialogue without dominance. His remarks walked a fine line between satire and social commentary, and the studio audience roared with approval. Almost immediately, clips of Ross's rebuttal went viral, reigniting the online frenzy and drawing even more attention to the feud. Critics praised Ross for his courage and wit, arguing that he'd held his ground where many had folded, while Trump's camp doubled down, branding Ross an opportunist writing on Trump's name. What began as a fiery walk-off had now escalated into an all-out media war, each side fueling the flames with every public word. Soon the clash leapt far beyond the walls of the studio, dominating global headlines as networks from CNN to the BBC replayed the footage on endless loops, dissecting the fallout like a political earthquake. Opinion columns flooded newspapers, some praising Ross for exposing Trump's volatility, others condemning him for ambushing a guest to manufacture controversy. Late-night hosts across the world seized the moment, weaving jokes into their monologues while celebrities weighed in on social media, some siding with Ross's sharp humor, others defending Trump's no-nonsense attitude. Hashtags trended internationally, and even in countries where Trump was seen more as a symbol than a politician, people debated whether his storm-off revealed fragility or conviction. The frenzy became so intense that PR experts speculated the feud might impact Trump's future media appearances, while TV analysts praised Ross for creating one of the most unforgettable interviews in modern talk show history. What had started as an explosive moment of ego and wit had now transformed into a cultural spectacle, pulling millions into the conversation whether they wanted to or not. Behind the scenes, the pressure mounted for both men to address the fallout in a more controlled setting, and whispers of a possible rematch interview began circulating through media circles. Producers recognized the goldmine of ratings such a reunion could generate, while political commentators framed it as an opportunity for Trump to reclaim his composure and Ross to prove his wit wasn't a fluke. Networks reportedly began bidding for exclusive rights, dangling enormous sums to host the showdown. Trump's camp, torn between the risk of another public meltdown and the chance to spin the narrative back in his favor, leaked hints that he might consider it, on his own terms. Ross, never one to shy away from controversy, fanned the flames with playful comments in subsequent interviews, teasing the idea that he would welcome Trump back anytime, so long as he promised not to run off halfway through. The mere possibility of a second encounter electrified the public, who were already salivating at the thought of another cultural clash between raw political bravado and razor-sharp comedy. Negotiations soon became a media circus in their own right, with leaks and rumors spilling into tabloids and online forums almost daily. Some insiders claimed Trump demanded full editorial control over any potential appearance, including veto power on questions and final say on how the episode would be cut, while others whispered that Ross flat-out refused, insisting his show's integrity would never be compromised. The standoff only intensified public curiosity, with fans of both men taking sides and turning the potential rematch into a cultural battleground. Networks circled like sharks, each desperate to host what they billed as the confrontation of the decade, while PR strategists speculated on whether Trump could actually risk another storm-off without cementing the very image he was trying to avoid. Meanwhile, Ross leaned into the absurdity, dropping tongue-in-cheek comments during his monologues that kept the feud alive without ever giving too much away. The negotiations, though tense, fueled the spectacle further, and it became clear that whether or not a rematch happened, the story had already transcended television. It was now firmly etched into the ongoing saga of Trump versus the media. Public demand for the rematch quickly reached a fever pitch, transforming what began as an awkward walk-off into one of the most anticipated showdowns in modern television history. Online petitions circulated, urging Trump to return and finish what he started, while fan-made posters and mock trailers spread across YouTube and TikTok, framing the potential sit-down like a heavyweight boxing match. Comment sections were flooded with arguments, predictions, and memes, with some dubbing it the clash of egos, and others calling it comedy versus control. News outlets began running polls on whether Trump should agree to round two, and the results showed a striking split. Supporters believed he could redeem himself and prove his dominance, while critics wanted to see Ross push him even further until his composure cracked once again. The hysteria grew so intense that even celebrities weighed in, with actors, comedians, and politicians alike publicly choosing sides. What was once just a single fiery dispute had snowballed into a cultural phenomenon, with millions treating it less like an interview and more like a global spectacle waiting to happen.